cross-examination on the stand is over for Sean Diddy Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and it couldn't come soon enough considering she could give birth at any moment. In fact, Combs' lawyers are being accused of stretching her testimony with unnecessary questions so she would go into labor, causing a mistrial.
Sean Combs, known to the world as Diddy, didn't just climb the ladder of success, he built it. By the early 1990s, he'd gone from a college dropout to a music industry titan, founding Bad Boy Records in 1993 and turning it into a powerhouse. With artists like Notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige under his wing, Diddy became synonymous with hip-hop's golden era, blending raw talent with a knack for branding that made him a multi-millionaire by his 30s. His larger-than-life persona, complete with flashy parties, chart-topping hits, and a fashion empire, painted him as untouchable. But behind the glitz, Diddy was always chasing control, whether over his music, his image, or the people around him. Enter Cassie Ventura, a 19-year-old R&B singer whose 2006 hit Me and You caught Diddy's ear. Signed to Bad Boy, she wasn't just a rising star. She was the perfect addition to his carefully curated world. Their connection seemed like a fairy tale, mentor and muse, poised to dominate the industry together. Cassie's story started far from the spotlight. Born in New London, Connecticut in 1986, she was a small-town girl with big dreams, modeling for brands like 17 before her sultry voice landed her a deal with Bad Boy. When she met Diddy, she was young, ambitious, and eager to make her mark. Their professional relationship quickly blurred into something more, and by 2007 they were a couple, spotted at red carpet events and high-profile galas. To the public, they were a power duo, Diddy, the seasoned mogul, and Cassie, the fresh-faced talent with a megawatt smile. Fans ate it up, but whispers of an uneven dynamic started early. Cassie's music career, once promising, seemed to stall under Diddy's shadow. Her second album, promised for years, never materialized, and some speculated Diddy's influence kept her more as a trophy than a true collaborator. Still, their glamorous image held strong, masking any cracks beneath the surface. For over a decade, Diddy and Cassie's relationship was a fixture in tabloids and gossip blogs. They were on again, off again, with public breakups and reconciliations that kept fans guessing. Diddy's Instagram posts of Cassie, often captioned with heart emojis, projected love, but insiders hinted at tension. By 2018, when they split for good, the narrative was that Cassie wanted independence to focus on her music and herself. Yet, as years passed, darker stories began to leak. Former employees whispered about Diddy's controlling nature, while Cassie stayed silent, until her 2023 lawsuit flipped the script. What looked like a glamorous romance from the outside was, according to her, a carefully controlled cage. And as the world would soon learn, the truth behind their story was far from the fairy tale it seemed. The year 2023 marked a turning point when Cassie Ventura filed a bombshell lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, peeling back the curtain on their decade-long relationship. At the heart of her claims were allegations of freak-offs, private, orchestrated parties where, according to Cassie, Diddy coerced her into sexual encounters with male escorts while he watched and directed. These weren't casual gatherings, she alleged, but highly controlled events that became a recurring demand, leaving her physically and emotionally drained. Prosecutors later described these sessions as a key part of Diddy's alleged sex trafficking operation, claiming he used his power to manipulate Cassie into compliance. The lawsuit sent shockwaves through the industry, with fans and media buzzing over the dark underbelly of Diddy's empire. But what exactly were these freak-offs? And how did they fit into the larger narrative of control? Cassie's testimony painted a chilling picture. She claimed these encounters, often held in luxury settings like the Beverly Hills Hotel or high-end condos, were meticulously planned. According to court documents, Diddy allegedly hired male escorts, including one known as Skylar from the website Cowboys 4 Angels, to participate. Cassie said she was pressured to perform under Diddy's watchful eye, with no room to refuse without risking his wrath. The physical toll was so intense, she alleged, that she needed time to recover afterward, with medical interventions sometimes arranged. These claims weren't just about personal betrayal. They suggested a systematic abuse of power, with Diddy allegedly leveraging his wealth and influence to enforce compliance. Yet, as whispers of these events spread online, some wondered, were these consensual acts twisted into a scandal, or was Cassie exposing a hidden truth? The allegations gained weight when a former male escort, identified in court as Skylar, spoke out to People magazine in 2025. He claimed he was hired for over a dozen sessions between 2014 and 2015, describing an unsettling dynamic where Cassie seemed under Diddy's control. He recalled moments when her demeanor shifted, as if the spirit was leaving her body, though he noted he never saw physical abuse. His account, while speculative and unverified, added fuel to the narrative of psychological manipulation. Social media erupted with speculation, with some users on X calling the freak-offs a twisted display of power, while others questioned the escort's motives, wondering if he was capitalizing on the trial's spotlight. As these stories piled up, one thing was clear: the freak-off allegations were no longer just Cassie's word against Diddy's. They were a window into a world few had dared to expose. According to reports, Schuyler claimed he was never told the identities of his clients beforehand, only that they were A-list. His role, he alleged, was to perform under Diddy's strict direction, with Cassie present in what he described as a tightly controlled environment. His decision to speak out wasn't planned, he said, but came after his name and photo surfaced in court, compelling him to support Cassie's testimony with his own observation. Schuyler's account painted a vivid, unsettling picture of the so-called freak-off sessions. He described Cassie as the kindest and most respectful person, yet he sensed a heavy undercurrent of control. He alleged that Cassie rarely spoke when Diddy wasn't in the room, and during the encounters her demeanor would sometimes shift dramatically, as if the spirit was leaving her body. While he didn't witness physical abuse, Schuyler told people he felt a constant energy of pressure to perform for Diddy, describing it as a power-complex thing. These claims, though unverified, resonated with Cassie's allegations of psychological coercion, suggesting a dynamic where Diddy wielded absolute authority. Online, fans on platforms like X buzzed with reactions, some praising Schuyler's courage, while others questioned whether his story was entirely reliable or shaped by the trial's media frenzy. The Escort's testimony didn't just echo Cassie's claim, it amplified the narrative of a carefully curated world where Diddy allegedly called the shots. Schuyler emphasized that Diddy never physically engaged with him, but his presence loomed large, orchestrating every moment. He recalled sessions where it was just the three of them, with Diddy directing the encounters like a conductor of a dark symphony. After leaving the escort industry in 2017 and returning to his native Hawaii, Schuyler said he wanted to lend credence to Cassie's story, calling her a bada lady who deserved respect. His words, while speculative and not definitive proof, have fueled heated debates about the nature of power and consent in Diddy's inner circle. As the trial continues, Schuyler's account raises a haunting question. How many others might still be holding onto secrets from that world? The allegations against Sean Diddy Combs took a darker turn when a 2016 hotel surveillance video surfaced, showing what prosecutors describe as a brutal assault on Cassie Ventura, played multiple times for jurors during Diddy's sex trafficking trial. The footage allegedly captures him chasing Cassie down a hallway, throwing her to the ground, and striking her repeatedly. According to court reports, Diddy paid $100,000 to secure what he believed was the only copy of the video, only for it to re-emerge years later as damning evidence. Cassie's 2023 lawsuit claimed this was just one of many violent incidents, alleging a pattern of physical abuse that left her living in fear. The video, combined with her testimony, paints a grim picture of a relationship where power wasn't just imbalanced, it was enforced with force. But was this an isolated moment or part of a larger, more sinister pattern? Adding weight to these claims is the testimony of Brianna Bongalan, Cassie's longtime friend, who recounted a terrifying incident from 2016. She told jurors that Diddy showed up unannounced at Cassie's Los Angeles apartment, banging on the door in a raid. Seeking to avoid confrontation, Brianna stepped onto the balcony of the 17th floor unit, only for Diddy to allegedly follow and dangle her over the edge. The courtroom gasped as she described the moment, her fear palpable as she recalled clinging to safety while Diddy's anger loomed. Prosecutors argue this incident reflects Diddy's willingness to use intimidation to control those around Cassie, reinforcing her claims of coercion. Online, fans on X have called the story horrifying, though some question whether Brianna's account might be exaggerated given the defense's push to discredit her. These stories of violence and coercion don't stand alone. Cassie's lawsuit detailed years of alleged abuse, from physical assaults to psychological manipulation, like threats to release explicit tapes unless she complied with his demand. Witnesses, including her mother, Regina Ventura, later corroborated visible injuries, with photos of bruises from 2011 shown in court. The prosecution argues that Diddy's actions were calculated to trap Cassie in a cycle of fear, using his wealth and influence to silence her. While Diddy's team insists these encounters were consensual or misconstrued, the mounting evidence, from videos to witness accounts, suggests a relationship far removed from the glamorous facade they once projected. What else might have happened behind closed doors? The testimony of Regina Ventura, Cassie's mother, brought an emotional weight to Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial that left the courtroom in stunned silence. Taking the stand, Regina recounted a desperate moment in her daughter's tumultuous relationship with Diddy, alleging that he blackmailed her by threatening to release explicit tapes of Cassie. According to court reports, Regina was so fearful for her daughter's safety and reputation that she took out a home equity loan to pay Diddy $20,000 in an attempt to keep the tapes private. Her voice trembling, she described feeling physically sick at the thought of Cassie being humiliated or endangered. This wasn't just a mother protecting her child. It was a glimpse into the alleged lengths Diddy went to maintain control, using sensitive material as leverage in a high-stakes power play. Regina's testimony didn't stop at the blackmail claim. She provided jurors with chilling evidence, including photographs she took in 2011 showing bruises on Cassie's body, which she claimed were the result of Diddy's physical abuse. These images, presented in court, backed Cassie's allegations of a years-long pattern of violence and manipulation. Regina's account painted a picture of a mother watching her daughter's dreams of stardom turn into a nightmare, trapped in a relationship where Diddy's influence seemed inescapable. On platforms like X, fans expressed heartbreak over Regina's story, with some calling it gut-wrenching proof of Diddy's alleged cruelty, while others debated whether the payment was a legitimate transaction, as Diddy's defense later claimed the money was returned. The blackmail allegations add a sinister layer to the narrative of control that runs through Cassie's lawsuit and the trial. Regina's testimony suggested that Diddy's threats weren't just empty words, but part of a calculated strategy to keep Cassie compliant. The idea of explicit tapes, never confirmed but repeatedly referenced in court, has sparked rampant speculation online, with some ex-users theorizing about their contents and others questioning their existence. Diddy's legal team has pushed back, arguing that the payment was a misunderstanding and that Regina's emotional testimony lacks concrete proof. Yet for many, the image of a mother driven to financial desperation to protect her daughter speaks volume. As the trial unfolds, Regina's words linger, raising questions about how far Diddy's influence reached and what other secrets might still be hidden. In late 2011, the brief romance between rapper Scott, Kid Cudi, Miss Cudi, and Cassie Ventura ignited a firestorm of alleged jealousy from Sean Diddy, Combs that, according to testimony, spiraled into shocking acts of violence. Kid Cudi, a Grammy-winning artist known for his introspective hip-hop, took the stand in Diddy's 2025 sex trafficking trial, recounting a chilling sequence of events. He testified that after Diddy discovered their relationship, he broke into Cudi's Hollywood Hills home in December 2011, leaving Christmas presents opened and Cudi's dog locked in a bathroom. Weeks later, in January 2012, Cudi's Porsche was set ablaze in his driveway, with a Molotov cocktail found in the driver's seat, as shown in photos presented to the jury. Cudi told the court he believed Diddy was behind the arson, a claim fueled by Cassie's earlier testimony that Diddy had threatened to blow up Cudi's car after learning of their affair. The drama escalated with the testimony of Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant and global brand director at Bad Boy Entertainment, who claimed she was swept into the chaos. Clark told jurors that in December 2011, an enraged Diddy showed up at her home with a gun, demanding she accompany him to Cudi's house with the chilling words, "Get dressed. We're going to kill this expletive." She described being forced into a black Cadillac Escalade, where Diddy sat with a gun in his lap as they drove to Cudi's residence. Clark alleged she called Cassie during the ride, warning her that Diddy was out for blood, but Cudi wasn't home when they arrived. She claimed Diddy later pressured her to convince Cudi he wasn't involved in the break-in, threatening her life if she didn't comply. While Diddy's defense denies the kidnapping, Clark's emotional testimony painted a picture of a man consumed by jealousy and willing to use fear to maintain control. These explosive claims, while gripping, remain unproven, and Diddy's legal team has fiercely contested them. They argue that no charges were filed in connection to the alleged break-in or car bombing, and they've dismissed Cudi's accusations as speculative, noting that he admitted Cassie initially lied about her relationship status with Diddy. Posts on X have fueled further debate, with some users shocked by the allegations of arson and violence, while others question Cudi's credibility, pointing to his admission that Cassie shared his address with Diddy. The defense also highlights that when Cudi confronted Diddy at a 2012 meeting at the Soho house, Diddy denied involvement in the car fire, and no further incidents followed. Yet Cudi's testimony, coupled with Clark's, has intensified scrutiny on Diddy's alleged volatility, leaving jurors and the public to wrestle with whether these were the acts of a jealous ex or part of a broader, more sinister pattern. As the allegations against Sean Diddy Combs pile up in his high-stakes sex trafficking trial, his defense team has come out swinging, painting a starkly different picture from the prosecution's grim narrative. They argue that the so-called freak-off parties were nothing more than consensual encounters within a swinger's lifestyle that Cassie Ventura willingly embraced during their 11-year relation. Diddy's attorneys, led by Mark Agnifilo, have emphasized that no evidence supports claims of coercion or trafficking, dismissing Cassie's 2023 lawsuit as a money grab settled quickly for an undisclosed sum. They point out that Cassie continued to work with Diddy professionally and personally long after the alleged abuses, suggesting her participation was voluntary. On platforms like X, some fans echo this sentiment, questioning why Cassie stayed if the situation was as dire as claimed, while others argue the defense is deflecting from undeniable evidence like the 2016 hotel surveillance video. The defense has also taken aim at the credibility of key witnesses, particularly Cassie's friend Brianna Bongolan and former assistant Capricorn Clark. They've highlighted inconsistencies in Bongolan's account of the 2016 balcony incident, where she claimed Diddy dangled her over a 17th floor ledge, noting that no police report or corroborating evidence from the time exists. Similarly, they've challenged Clark's dramatic testimony about being kidnapped at gunpoint to confront Kid Cutie, pointing out that no charges were ever filed and questioning her motives as a disgruntled former employee. Diddy's team has also scrutinized the former Escort Skylar, arguing his decision to speak out only after his identity was revealed in court suggests opportunism rather than truth. These attacks aim to sow doubt, with the defense framing the prosecution's case as a web of unverified stories fueled by personal grudges or financial incentive. Beyond disputing individual claims, Diddy's legal strategy centers on dismantling the prosecution's broader narrative of a criminal enterprise. They argue that the government's racketeering and sex trafficking charges rely on exaggerated interpretations of a lifestyle that, while unconventional, was not illegal. Diddy himself has admitted to past mistakes, including instances of domestic violence, but insists he never ran a criminal operation. His team has pointed to his cooperation with authorities, such as turning himself in after his 2024 arrest, as evidence of his innocence. They've also highlighted the lack of concrete evidence tying Diddy to acts like the alleged car bombing of Kid Cutie's Porsche, calling such claims outlandish and unsupported. As the trial stretches into its fourth week, the defense's aggressive pushback leaves jurors with a critical question. Are these allegations a coordinated attack on a flawed but innocent man, or the unraveling of a carefully hidden empire built on control? The answer remains elusive, but the fight is far from over.